Just to introduce myself, I'm Tamara. So today I'm going to talk to you about space, perceived as canvas, and the space syntax and its correlation to my art. So nowadays, space is considered to be a net of connections between different areas, and the question how to delineate its character and how it is possible to objectively compare it to spaces is a matter under consideration. So space syntax analysis, or simply called space syntax, defines a number of theories and research areas devoted to the analysis of space configuration. So there are a lot of ongoing research projects and observations of the configuration of spatial settlements and the humans and their human behavior that has shown a close relationship within the physical structure of space and also the quality of life of its inhabitants. So the first studies on the fundamental method of space syntax analysis were made in London around the 80s. It was conceived by Bill Hillier, probably you all have heard about him, and Julian Hanson, to develop insights into the mutually constructive relation between society and space. So its authors created a morphological language trying to describe a basic elements of space using some spatial characters. So actually the term space syntax encompasses a set of theories and techniques for the analysis of spatial configuration, and as such is treated as geometry that is a language actually that shapes the architectural space. So from its beginning, the method was used as a tool to help architects to simulate the likely effects of the social projects. Since then, the methodology has been developed as a design method, which can determine the nature of space, help to understand how buildings, areas, and actually even cities, how they operate. So the most important factor in the space syntax remains space configuration and the relation that occur in it. As space syntax has developed and evolved, the theory proved that the way in which elements are brought together affects the behavior of its users. So understanding the geometry of space in our three-dimensional world is essential in using and interacting with objects. So space itself can be considered the subject of study, whose basic structure is composed of structural and also semantic properties. The perceptions of shapes that construct that space is modulated through signs, feelings, stimulated by high intensity stimuli, usually, as well as spatial and temporal history of that particular place that we can discover and further develop. So, like the object, the place also has its own function, purpose, and geometric shape. The shape of that place actually exists as a subject, which, like the shape of the face, can be described usually by the contours and properties that belong to those surfaces. So the term place actually here is the key to defining the term space. So while the place is amorphous and immaterial and by its nature abstract, the concept of the place is concrete, defined, and filled with stimuli, like emotion, experiences, and beliefs of its users, the human beings. So Peter Zumthor will say that I don't claim to know what space is. So the more I think about it, the less familiar it becomes to me. But I'm sure of one thing, that when we as architects are affected by that space, we are affected by a crumbling piece of infinity that envelops the earth. Every building marks an endemic place in that infinity. So space is more than a visible vacuum that surrounds us, that's for sure. Above all, it has a physical shape that can be easily decoded and described through specific characteristics such as length, width, scale, geometry, as well as texture, brightness, and color. So it contains features that are both abstract and complex and are contained in the codes, in the rules of the mass displacement, proportions, and emotions that are forced through their placement. To better understand these features, the human-space relationship plays a major role. So living between the thing is the basic principles of human existence, which would mean that we are never in an abstract world. We don't live in that abstract world, but we are always in the world of things, even when we think. Man's relationship with places and through places with space is based on his stay in them. The tendency of the man to organize the space around him and to feel some order is one of the basic elements of the composition. So while space is an open and abstract area, Place is not considered a subjective and abstract concept, but as part of a location or part of space that retains its identity through the subject that it contains in itself. That is why it is so full of meaning, physical reality, and human experience, and is considered the center of reasonable values. So the whole theory of space syntax that I'm talking about is based on the rejection of the metric properties of space. Instead, spatial configuration is represented by topological data. So the term spatial configuration refers to a structure with a potential to move and determine visual boundaries that further determine the continuity or discontinuity of a design in a particular location. On this slide, you can see a picture that describes a method of linear and nodal description of space. So the first method consists of analyzing actually the axial maps, also called linear maps, based on observation of visibility. The starting point is the deliberation about people's behavior and their perception of space. So here you can see a simple representation or three different ways how people perceive space. The first one is the representation of the way people move, mostly along a line. Then the convex space, where users see each other and where interactions take place. And the third one is the isovist, called also the visibility field, which has a different shape depending on where the observer is located. While considering the defined movement of people, it can be seen that not all pedestrians wanting to get from point A to point B will choose the shortest path in terms of its metric. A lot of them will choose the simplest way, so the shortest topologically, which will allow them to move with the smallest possible number of changes of direction. This phenomenon is actually illustrated on this picture. So the tiniest line represents the connection from point A to point B, which you can see. The line of the medium thickness is the shortest way measured metrically, and the thickest line actually shows the shortest way topologically. So observing people can be really interesting and enough to determine whether a space functions correctly or incorrectly in relation to its purpose. This may involve following pedestrians around the city, tracking their movements, drawing lines of their movements. So the movement of most people appears to be consistent, repeatable, and therefore very much foreseeable. The first objective step of analyzing of the axial maps consists of all of visibility obstacles. And also the first one is the third dimension, the height. Spaces are understood as voids, which are squares, fields, streets, rooms, depending what you are observing, between walls, fences, or other impediments or obstructions that restrain the pedestrian traffic or our visual field. So the result is an estimated model where open public spaces is bordered and painted in a contrasting color. Usually we show that in black and white. The next step is to draw the possible smallest number of the longest lines of movement, which are called lines of sight in space. The whole space should be covered with them to show all possibilities for movement. In this way, an axial map is constructed. This is the second part of the picture. This way, a graph of availability called connectivity graphs is obtained from the second one, the axial map. It is a two-dimensional graph which can be constructed in several ways. It represents the relationship of accessibility between all axial spaces of a layout model. Axial lines, which represent spaces, are also presented in circles called nodes, which are linked by lines showing intersections with subsequent axes. The number of immediate neighbors that are directly connected to a node to those circles is a local measure called connectivity. So a graph should be reconstructed afterwards so that the considered space is placed at its bottom, actually to rotate it as justified graph. So in that manner, we can have the space which we call the root space from the beginning. So the main application and the objectives of the space syntax analysis is shown on this picture. In its initial form, the space syntax focuses mainly on patterns of pedestrian movements in cities, and space syntax method is actually like a grammar that we use to arrange spatial elements and analyze them further. The first objective for the analysis is understanding the users. Through observation of where and how people move in the existing spaces, it can be predicted where to locate its specific functions. The value of understanding the relationship between the users and the spaces lies in the prediction how spatial configuration will shape the user experience. So the city is regarded as a penetration of the physical layer into the social layer, which can be seen in art form, like you see in the Mondrian picture, which is actually a pattern that we can use further in cities, an evolutionary change, or further it can develop and produce a mental map or a digital field. So because this method has fractal properties, it is possible to use and to study it in micro and macro levels. The availability inside buildings and inside neighborhoods or cities can be explored in the same way also. Although it can be concluded as space affects the sense of community, it can be also predicted how the form of space will affect the frequency of interaction. So the main resource of the towns is their residents, the human intelligence, their desires, motivations, imagination, or creativity. So in psychology, some believe that our actions are afforded to us by the combinations of our abilities that we use and what the environment around us offers us. So the simplest affordance of all is the affordance to move and to respond in space. They form a pattern of potential movement and action in the environment. Users also are the creators and adapters of the space at the same time. So we are the ones that actually try to use that space, and with that, we try to implement our own actions inside that place. They can adapt it to their own way of life, while at the same time, their behavior, actually our behavior, is shaped through this space. The life of the city ultimately comprises individual action of the people in it, from walking, running, whatever would you like to do. Every one of us is part responsible of the whole. And also, like that, every one of us has each relationship with the city and how we perceive it or not and how we interact with it or not. So it is through our action actually that the city's life is built up. So the space syntax analysis brings concrete results that are translatable into real space. That's why I chose also this subject, because something that is so theoretical can be also put into action in micro level in your art and also in your projects. So it lets us get to know the relationship between the various structures making up the urban fabric. The foundation of the city, the building, the illustration, the artwork should be considered as a harmony also of space and light. Even a space that tends to be completely dark should contain such an amount of light that it penetrates through a mysterious gap in order to emphasize the importance of darkness. That's something that usually also Peter Sumter uses in his buildings. So each space should be defined by structure and the nature of its light. So the same principle of space syntax is what I use in the design of my artworks. It's nail art that is made on medium density fireboards with nails. So the nails are actually the nodes. They represent the places, and the lines, when needed, represent their correlation of movement, the same as we can do the axial maps and also the space syntax inside the city. So inspired by the secrets of nature, in correlation with the new scientific research, my work is based on science and knowledge, and also the love of nature in all its manifestation and fields. We can apply its secrets and read the answer through new discoveries as basis of our future. So here are a couple of the artworks I have created. This one is a detail of the gravitational singularity or space-time singularity, which is located actually in space-time where the gravitational field of the body becomes infinite. Since such quantities become infinite within this singularity, the laws of normal space-time could not exist. And this one, after the singularity, is a representation of the solar system. It's also done with nails on medium density fireboards, although it looks like a graphic design. So same as connectivity graph or pattern of a city is seen from the micro to the macro level. And then also the stars. This artwork that is consistent of three parts is called the birth of a star, and all stars are the result of the balance of forces. The next one is the butterfly effect, or the sensitive dependence of initial conditions, where every single dot, actually every single nail that I previously used as a term node inside the city, is the reaction from the previous one and points the way to the new one. And then we go to the single cell organisms that are also made with the nails. So radiating from their spherical body, these little guys called heliozoa are responsible for capturing food, sensation and movement, and attachment as we perceive the city through the senses. Their neighbor, which we call diatoms, they are also single-celled organisms, but are algae, live actually in houses made of glass. That's why I used also glass in this artwork. So the glass parts are the light-absorbing molecules diatoms have, collecting energy from the sun and turning it into a chemical energy through photosynthesis. So we breathe the air and the oxygen that diatoms release. This is a detail of the same artwork. So the same principle can be seen also in the portrait of a human. With this, it's becoming an android. So when we put actually the space syntax in describing the human face, we can do a map and it can become something that is, let's say, not more of a human, but an alterated human. So from the android, I did a research on human nature and also did these 12 archetypes that are like masks. Uh, they are universal archaic patterns that come to life with the collective unconscious. And as the counterpart of the archetypes, I'm actually working currently on this project. This is not yet done. It's a concept art, which I call the sematics, which represents the archetype's voice. So when the surface of a plate is vibrated, regions of maximum and minimum displacements are made visible in a thin coating of particles. Different patterns emerge depending on the geometry of the plate and the driving frequency. So what I would like to emphasize is the correlation between all the elements. Also, I would always tell you to stick to your first ideas because it was first for a reason. So syntax is important in our everyday communication as well as in the communication with the city. And as much words, movement, and actions are important, so is the space, its stillness, and its silence. So passion needs space as well as fire needs air. And as counterpart of the nail art, I do also illustrations where lines that connect elements are accented. And I also use a lot of movement. You can see it through these pictures. These are traditional drawings, which I usually do as counterpart of the nail art, which is very structured and very rigid. So most of these artwork are used not only as static illustrations, but also as dynamic part of the city, because they are applied on skateboards for the Error Collective, in which I'm also part of in Skopje. So they usually have mythological nature, as you can see. And also, these are some of the digital drawings that I do, which don't follow that static pattern, but follow movement and lots of flow. You can see also that they have a lot of air and a lot of movement inside them. So with this, I would like to say to always have the main principle while creating. Always stick to your first ideas, but also you should always let the air bring fire to your ideas, projects, and drawings. So with this, I would like to finish my presentation. Hope you liked it and learn something from it.